Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Tackling Tacos, a fishing podcast. This is episode number 82, and we're pretty pumped about it. We're doing like I don't know, I couldn't think of a better name for it, but I like it anyway. So a State of the Union of bass boats. A lot of questions we get from people, just on social media, just friends, whatever, text messages is about boats. Like, hey, I'm looking at this boat, or what do you think about getting like a bass tracker, or what should I look for if I'm getting a used like fiberglass boat or whatever. And a lot of those type of questions I love jumping into, and then some of them are like past my ability to like really accurately answer. And so we brought in a heavy hitter. We have Mr. Adam Deakin of the Serious Angler network of fishing podcasts. They kill it with Serious Angler, Kayak, Lure Lab, Business from the Bass Boat. These dudes know their stuff, and he's just a super cool cat. And so I'm excited to talk to him about all these things and have some questions answered that I'm probably not fit to answer myself. Nate, my dear sweet friend, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. We are holding up. We got through the ice storm down here a couple days ago, and
Okay, yeah.
I mean, other than that, we're good.
Yeah, that's dope, dude. So really quick, let's hit the sponsors. Number one presenting sponsor, Grizzly Coolers, grizzlycoolers.com. WCB gets you 15% off. Giltech and Hook and Arrow Supply Co. out of Waukamanika, Wisconsin, northeast Wisconsin. I think it's Wanapaki. No, that's not it. No, I actually don't know what it is. So I just F it up every time. Every time I say it too, if anybody wants a glimpse into my goofed up brain, every time I say it, I think of the movie What About Bob, where he's trying to track down his psychologist, and they're like, Lake Winnipesaukee, and he's talking to like 3 different women, and they're giving him like different spellings. So every time I say it, that's all I think of is Bill Murray in his heyday. But Giltech, Gilltek, they absolutely kill it. You can see a box over my shoulder. Incredible swim jigs, great Ned head stuff. And like I've said it before in the show, it's a small outfit, but I think his quality control is absolutely next level. Everything is researched. Everything is designed, redesigned, CAD, 3D printed, refined, changed angles of hooks, change the keeper for like a swim jig for where everything is ultra specific, the dopest stuff. Hookandarrowsupply.com. And then of course Loophole Optics, makers of legendary optics, be that scopes, binos, rangefinders, and then for us, we're a part of the performance eyewear team with incredible fishermen that we have no right to be on the same team with, like John Cox and Seth Fighter, Polinick, Stetson Blaylock, a bunch of dudes who are just hammers on hammers, and their sunglasses are absolutely legitimately incredible. I would like, I don't have money, but if I did, I would do like some cheese ball, like QVC guarantee, like go buy a pair. If you don't like them, I'll buy them off you, because I'm just so confident that people will like them. Like they really are that fantastic looking,
no doubt.
Feel good, weight, the polarization is absolutely next level. Like their ability to cut through the glare and stuff is incredible. So check those out, Loophole Optics. And then of course, we're part of the Working Class Bow Hunter Podcast Network, which we're pretty pumped about. Good homies who have been killing the game for a long time. So we're honored to be a part of that squad. And you can find our crap on Waypoint TV, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all just Tackle and Tacos. Whew. And that's it.
Well done. That was impressive.
What do we got on time on that? How long was that?
That was about 3 minutes strong. I mean, that was impressive. You hit all the good points.
I was doing like that Mariah Carey circular breathing, where you like breathe out and then breathe it back in, so you can just keep on going without stopping. You know? Did you hear that? Yeah. Did you hear that? So when we drop this, it'll be December 17th. Speaking of Christmas and Mariah Carey, did you ever hear that one? Her singing her Christmas song, like with the vocals soloed. Have you heard that name? Holy Jesus, it is the worst thing your ears will ever encounter. All I want for Christmas. Like where they take out all the like background like music. Right. Oh my gosh. It's rough. It's rough. But Nate,
Unbelievable.
before we bring the dude in, let's talk about two quick things. We haven't really talked about this beforehand, but I want to know your opinion. Everybody's talking about this in the bass fishing world, and that is, of course, Mr. Ben Millikalikalan, and Millikan fishing and getting arrested, and he's a fugitive from justice, and he's going to go to prison for life. And it's sort of like reading something about politics on CNN and then reading about it on Fox News. Like the gap is just so wide. Like some people are like, oh, he forgot to have a license, so he got a ticket. Then other people are like, no, he cheated in a tournament flat out, and he should be arrested and banned forever with that live poke. And what do you think about that? You know about this going on, Nate? What the crap?
Yeah, I know a little bit about it. I don't think I have all the details, but personally, I think it's a bit absurd. I mean, just wild to think that somebody. I mean, the way he put it, he was out fun fishing and uh, forgot to have a license. Bought a license. In the process, he caught a lunker
Share
bass,
lunker.
which is basically a bass that gets certified and then gets put into a breeding program.
Yeah. Which, by
So
the
there's not
way, is absolutely brilliant. The way that they run that whole program, it's
absolutely,
so
yeah,
slick. Yeah, really smart.
yeah. But I think aside from they might give you like a free mount for it or something like that.
Yeah,
Aside
they
from
do.
that,
Yep.
I don't think there's anything really to gain from it. So I don't know like what like where the whole like tournament fraud is and just absurdness to me. Like it's just wild.
Yeah,
I think there's millions and millions of people out there that have been caught, forgot to buy their license,
for
didn't
sure.
buy it, or they had it and expired 2 days ago, and it's human nature. Some one of those things that kind of just happens, and
Yep.
he tried to oh crap, I forgot my license. Let me go ahead and buy it, and yeah, apparently it was too late for the old DNR over there, and they wanted to
Guantanamo, Nate. That's
right,
where he's
yeah,
going. He's going to
hey,
Guantanamo. Lock him
lock
up.
him up,
Throw the key away. Let him rot. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I feel the same way. It seems like it's really being sort of like make an example out of a fella because people know who he is.
yeah,
I will say so. Like I actually really like Randy Blockett. I don't know why I do because he's just such a grumpy old curmudgeon, but he doesn't need to be, because like
mhm,
his legend in bass fishing is cemented, and it's called the
yeah,
110. He helped design parts of the Mega Bass Vision 110. You don't need to do anything else. Like you created a darn near perfect bait for that category. And yet he's known now for just being anti live scope, anti blah, 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 whatever. But I want to give that dude a little bit of credit because the first video that he made about also, it's so crazy, right? On YouTube now, like you can literally be a YouTuber just by doing this.
100%,
Just
yeah,
put a
yeah,
camera,
just
like your
wild,
phone, vertical up in front of your face and just talk for like the
yeah.
longest time. Like, dude, my goodness. But anywho,
Or in Randy Blockett's case, a 4 minute video that gets 50,000 views because you put somebody's mugshot on the
it's the
as the
craziest thing.
thumbnail.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
craziest thing, which is funny though, right? Too, because like we all know for sure, Ben Michalickalin is a clickbait master,
Oh
right? Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
his thumbs and his like titles and whatever, like he's a master at getting clicks. And I honestly I can't fault him for it. That's his income. Like that's how the dude makes his money. That's how he survives, and he's obviously
Hmm.
doing really well. But anyway, Blockett put out a video talking about Milliken and was just smiling ear to ear the whole time, talking about him being arrested. And I was like, dude, that's gross. Like, dude, like kind of like full blown, like F you. Like that's, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you don't have to like the dude. You don't have to be buddies and have sleepovers and whatever. But to be smiling ear to ear because the dude made an honest mistake and got sent up for it, that's weird. But what I'll say to his credit is he put out another video talking about more details, and he was pretty balanced and basically
It
said like
was, yeah.
he was pretty much like, this is stupid, like this is kind of dumb. Milliken and I don't agree on most things, but like this is too much. And so I actually sort of respect the fact, because anybody on the YouTubes can like just yap, you know what I'm saying? But it takes a dude with some balls to like walk it back and be like, actually, to provide some balance for your own statement. And so I
Hmm.
respected that a little bit, to be honest with you.
That yeah, we talked a little bit about this earlier today, and I went back and watched a couple of the videos that he did, and yeah, the second one was pretty surprising at his kind of levelness. I think when you kind of get some of the details and realize like,
Oh,
yeah,
maybe it
yeah,
wasn't.
this, yeah, yeah. A lot
He
of people
wasn't
get
killing
slapped on the
kids or
wrist for this
something.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And it's just crazy. But
Yeah,
he
I
he def
allowed
he
myself to
definitely.
fall. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he definitely made sure to point out that old Milliken was spotlighting the bass that he was
Yeah.
catching. So
Yeah, the idiot box as he calls it.
yeah,
But like I fell down the rabbit hole a little bit and I was like on message boards and this and that and the other thing. But apparently this exact thing, that Milliken done, the dang thing Milliken done. The exact thing that Milliken has done or did has been done, jeepers creepers, by other people, and they got a fine.
yeah.
And that was it. And apparently, a couple other guys, like dudes' names were named. They did the exact same thing, caught a share lunker with either no license or an expired license, or came from out of state and just spaced it, whatever. And they fined them and they took away like their name out of like the share lunker program.
Hmm.
And yet Milliken, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we gotta hang him up, and that's just, I don't know. It
Yeah,
just seems a bit like I don't like that. I don't like to make example. Like the law should be the law. Like it should be fair. You did this. This is the price you pay. That's it.
yeah, yeah. I when I first like heard about it, I immediately went into like some of the like tournament stuff that had happened over the years, like with
Sure.
Brandon Polinick getting DQ'd for culling in Minnesota waters like
Yeah,
four
I
or five
remember that.
years ago, or what?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
for sure.
just like this instance, that's an actual written law in
Yeah,
Minnesota. You
yeah, yeah,
cannot
absolutely.
cull bass. You can't do
Yep.
it. So
Hmm.
he broke a law. He got disqualified from the tournament. He didn't go to jail.
Right.
He
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
he
There
didn't
was
get
no
taken
police at
away
the ramp waiting
yeah, he
for
didn't
him. He
get
didn't get a
taken
mug
away in a
shot.
handcuff.
And did you see
Yeah, like
Milliken smiling in the mug shot? That's pretty freaking
yeah,
funny. That's pretty
yeah,
funny.
it was.
That's like the
Yeah,
ultimate
it
F you
was, but
without using your middle finger.
yeah, no doubt, but it just made me think of stuff like that, like some of those instances where like, it people are human, like, it's
Absolutely.
happened, like, this just wild to me for this to gets the cuff slapped on you and, like you said, end up in Guantanamo for the
Yeah,
weekend
I
or
mean, come
whatever.
on, dude. Yeah, I mean, so the funny thing, remember a couple years ago when Homeboy, I don't remember who it was. It wasn't Matt Becker. Who the crap? It was a good angler over on MLF. He won that derby, and he didn't click the last button on the
Yeah.
non-resident license or whatever. Remember? And they
Yep,
shut him
yep,
down. Took the whole $100,000 back, like everything. And I'm like,
yep.
like that's the rule. Stick with the rule. Like that sucked for him, but he ain't worrying about catching all type of felony. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like that's just too much. But anyway,
yeah, and
let's keep moving. Nate, how did you do deer hunting this last weekend in Iowa? Uh, I'm laughing because I know how you did. You got some
yeah.
Venny in your belly right now, or no?
I don't have any Venny in
No.
my belly, not
Okay.
personally.
Son of a biscuit.
The group I was with, we ended up getting five total for the weekend, and one pretty nice buck.
Oh heck
On
yeah.
the first day, a guy shot a pretty nice buck, nice dark chocolate rack,
Oh, that's
really,
awesome.
yeah, really cool deer. But yeah, I apparently, um, what do they say? Practice makes perfect, I believe
I
is
think that's it.
one way to put it. So
Yeah.
I got a new gun, 350 Legend that I was really eager to hunt with over the
Yeah.
weekend. Um, and so I took it out to go sight it in, and apparently our typical like local outdoor range is closed permanently, like gated off, blocked off, big stones in
Where'd
front
you
of the
go?
parking
Did you
lot.
go to
Like,
Princeton?
yeah, I went out to Princeton and it was
Huh.
closed permanently, and it said
Wow.
like, yeah, like no, no trespassing, closed permanently, and
Okay.
they had big stones in the middle of the driveway. So I was like, well, crap, what am I going to do? This is like 3 days before the season. Um, so I actually just drove down the way to the archery range part that used to be there. That's also no longer there either.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I just like I walked off 100 yards and I put a target out there and I had the little um, bullet bore
Bore
sighter and I put
laser.
it in.
Yeah.
Yep. I put it in and sighted the scope in to the best I could at 100 yards, which I thought was a good distance. Um, and
I'm just
yeah, I
laughing
was like,
because like it's
yeah,
funny, like in hindsight, seeing like how much this doesn't actually work. Like
yeah, no,
hypothetical sighting in.
absolutely. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I took it out this weekend, and I took 3 shots. Gun functioned quite well.
Okay, good.
It just didn't. I didn't shoot straight, or it didn't shoot straight,
Okay.
or our setup together
Must have been the wind.
ideal. I think
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
The first shot that I took was like the very end of the day. We had pushed and drove and done all this stuff, and end of the day, we went and sat this bottom of this hillside where it's like a big steep timber hillside, and then it's a cornfield, and then it's like some kind of like CRP grass stuff on the other side. So we
Sure.
tucked in tight to the grass, me and three other buddies, and we just kind of spread it down the edge of this cornfield. And I was all the way at the end, just sitting there. It's raining, sleeting. It's terrible weather. I'm starting to get cold, and I look up, and I see a buck like 250 yards away, just kind of meandering my way. And I'm like, oh man, is this guy gonna get close? And he just kept making his way in, kept making his
Yeah.
way in. And by this time, I'm laid down, tucked into the grass, like I was playing Call of Duty or something.
Yeah.
And
Like a little green army man.
exactly,
Like in the
yeah.
prone position.
Prone position, had one leg up, and I'm just,
Yeah, man.
I'm in good position, and he kept getting closer and kept getting closer. He finally got within, I'd say, within 100 yards.
Dang.
And I felt like it was a pretty good shot. And he started to, like, every now and again he'd look up, and then he'd like have his head down, and then he'd snap his head up real fast, like,
Yep.
what's
Something
like
ain't.
something's going
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah.
so at that point I knew it was about time, and took a shot, and I don't even think it was close. Like, he stood there and looked at me, and then kind of trotted
He
off
looked around. What the?
trotted off with his tail up. And that was the one I was like, yeah, that might have been a little farther than I think. So I think it was right around 100 yards roughly. But ended up taking a couple more shots later on the next day. One of them was probably a 65-yard chip shot
Should have
broadside, and
been. Yeah.
should have been dropped. And yeah, not a chance. I brought my shotgun with. I should have shot that all weekend, and I probably would have done a little bit better. But
Yeah. But it was that
I
was the
guess
new though, that
it was
legend.
the new. You got to get the new
Yeah,
one
you
out
got
and
to.
give it a
Yeah, that's
try.
hard
So
not to. Yeah,
yeah,
it's hard to bring tried and true when you got that new shiny,
exactly.
totally
Yeah.
different style of cartridge.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it was a fun weekend. It was.
I'm
fun
sorry I
weekend.
laughed, but I know the feeling. I know the feeling
Yeah.
of not
Uh,
shooting stuff.
I should have known better, but it was good. So
Yeah, that's what's up. You
Yeah.
stayed safe. You got to see some deer.
no doubt.
That's dope. Well, what do you think, man? You want to bring the homie in or what?
I think he's ready. I think he's
Yeah.
ready. I think he's tired of hearing my lousy hunting stories. Like,
Well,
anyway.
maybe he has some lousy hunting stories himself. You know what I'm saying? So,
Probably not that bad.
all the way from Idaho by way of right now Colorado. We're really excited to bring in this fellow. We had him on before when we had the entire Serious Angler network on, but we're pretty pumped to have some time with just Adam. So with no further ado, Mr. Adam Deakin. What's up, man?
How's it going, fellas?
Hey.
Really good. Really, really good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Yeah.
Nate, I was listening to your story. Sorry, man. That's
Yeah.
that's no fun.
Yeah.
No.
I've had plenty of missed opportunities in the woods. That's for dang sure. But
Yeah.
man, that's a big caliber. You said it's a 350. What did you say it was? A 357 Legend or something?
350 Legend. Yeah, it's
350
kind
Legend.
of a
It's a
newer
new deal.
hunting
Yeah.
round.
It's like a
Yeah, they
Like
call it a
big and
straight
slow
wall
bullet?
cartridge. Exactly. Not super fast. So it's allowed to be used during shotgun season.
Oh,
Because
okay.
because it doesn't, it's not going to travel, 900 yards and rip through somebody's beans or into their pole barn or something like that. So
Got it.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
actually work though, apparently.
But apparently,
know,
you should just shoot
no.
a shotgun.
Yeah, you should just take the
absolutely.
old 12.
Yeah,
410,
absolutely.
16,
Yep.
something. Yeah, for sure. So, Mr. Deacon, we're excited to have you on the show, man. Thank you for being flexible. Like every effing guest we have on, it's always this it's never like, hey, you want to come on this date? Like, sure. And then it just works. It's always, and I know you can relate to that, but just the bouncing around, the scheduling. What about this? What about that? How about that? And yeah, so thank you, man. Seriously, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. No, thanks for having me on, and sorry for my schedule being hectic too. So glad we got it all squared away.
Absolutely. So real quick though, tell us where you're coming to us from and where you're usually at.
Yeah, man. So I made the move, I guess it'd be about a year and a half ago, a little longer than that now, to Boise, Idaho. And that's what you say if you're from there. I got scolded for calling it Boise.
How did you say Boise?
Yeah, it's like Boise. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's
I
goofy,
didn't
man.
know
I
that.
don't know
Okay.
why.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but you will if you're a local, that's what you say.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, man. So from Colorado originally, that's where I'm at now, just for the holidays with parents, and my brother and sister both moved back here, and so everyone's around for kind of the holidays. I've been
Sure.
traveling in between. I can kind of do both podcasting and my regular work from anywhere this time of year, specifically more so just being the wintertime. So I wasn't planning on necessarily staying as long as I did. I came here for Thanksgiving and have been traveling some in between, and was like, well, at this point, it's, December
You're
16th.
close.
It's like,
Yeah.
may as well probably make it through Christmas. So my flight back right after Christmas, back
That's
over to
sweet.
Idaho.
Yeah. You close with your family?
I am, man. I
That's
certainly
awesome.
am.
Yeah.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been great too. Like my brother and sister, we weren't crazy close, growing up, high school, all of that, but we've gotten a lot closer since, I think,
Okay.
I think that little bit of separation, all go to college, different places, and get in the real world a little bit, and tend to talk to each other more. At least we do. So
Sure.
it's been good and a bunch of fun, and so it's been cool seeing them around and all that kind of a thing.
Heck yeah, dude. That's dope. Well, we want to talk to you tonight, Adam. As you know already, we want to talk about bass boats. I mean, that's kind of your specialty, something you talk about a lot. I listen to Serious Angler Network and listen to your Business from the Bass Boat stuff a lot. I love the guests you have on. I love episodes you have on with boat builders, boat manufacturer like owners, and it's really interesting to me. Like, I think if you're into bass fishing, I don't, it never wears off on me. Like I'm still enamored with being in a boat. Like even, after launch and you put the trolling motor down at the first spot, or, even if you're not fishing a tournament, and the piece of it, the tackle storage, the trolling mode, I don't know. It's just something so cool about it. And so to hear more about that stuff from you is so dope. And so we want to go that direction. We want to go, give us some tips on, if you're looking at like a used bass boat or something like that, maybe you could help people. And then also, of course, we want to talk about tacos at some point. But Mr. Deakin, give us just a couple minutes, and you can take this as deep or not deep as you want. But like, how did you get into the outdoor world? How did you get into fishing? How did you take the kind of path to where you are today?
Yeah, man. Great question. I mean, so for me, dude, I don't know what it is. I think that I've kind of had this conversation with folks in the outdoors in general, and it's like I think that there is, I think, two ways to kind of get into the outdoors, and one, I feel like you're born with a drive for it. I don't know. It's kind of weird to say,
No, sure, yeah,
but I mean, you get introduced to it from somebody, and then you kind of just you have this crazy drive for it. At least I did, and then you
hmm
find like-minded people that also have that drive. But then there's a lot of people out there that you know are maybe in the same situation and don't have that drive. So it's an interesting thing. I think
sure,
about it quite a bit, just with humans in general and where that comes from. But yeah, I mean, growing up, my parents, my dad certainly he grew up back east in Pennsylvania, so you're talking deer drives and all that sort of a thing.
hmm
And I just had this fascination with hunting and fishing, and so any chance that I got, I really pushed towards it. And that would be anything from fishing ponds for bluegill and
yeah,
bass and all that sort of a thing, and just was all gas into the outdoors in general. Really liked hunting, really liked all of those different things. And how I kind of got into tournament fishing was more I was playing actually lacrosse in high school, and I didn't
Hmm.
really like it. I didn't really like the
Okay,
coach. I didn't like the coach, I should say.
okay,
And so I made the transition into I found ice fishing tournaments over the winter for the
hmm.
first time. I was like, well, this is fun. So like a couple of my buddies and I would go to these ice fishing tournaments, and I don't think we ever won anything in an ice fishing tournament.
Sure.
But but basically it was like, well, there's this bass club thing. What's this about? Like high school bass club. And so that was kind of my entry into it.
And this was in Colorado?
This is in Colorado, which,
Yeah.
right, like, is not, when you think of trout fishing and fly fishing and,
Right.
those
Right.
types of things, but, there's some decent bass lakes, in Colorado. They're just small. along the Front Range and on the Western Slope as well. And so you have these kind of clubs that have some really good anglers in them. And I think it's just because, you know, especially surrounding kind of like your Denver, right? You have people who have moved here that are maybe from Arkansas or other places and have just all found sort of that here. And so at first that club stuff was at local ponds, and this is Northern Colorado's youth club. And it really was kind of the gateway for me. And it would be on a Saturday fishing a little card tournament, right, where we'd measure the fish and that sort of a thing. And then at the end of the year, there was guys would take people out on bass boats, right, as the local clubs would be. And like you're talking about your fascination with bass boats, the same one that I have. And it was like, wow, this thing is way too cool, you know. And it was shiny and this and that. It wasn't a new boat by any means. I think it was an old Ranger, and I was just like, this is the coolest thing in the world. So that's where it all kind of started for me, and that just snowballed into fishing the high school nationals, and then in college, and then kind of some pro stuff after that. But always never anything too crazy, you know, your Toyota Series, Bassmaster Opens, that sort of a thing. But have always really enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That was well. I feel like you've told that story before. You told that really well. It was very like succinct. It wasn't too rambly.
I don't know. I can be pretty rambly. It's funny too when you were saying like, yeah, we got to get Adam on because he's an expert in this space. Yeah, I'm not an expert on this space. I have some great guests that I get on that I feel like are experts, and I can talk about that stuff.
Okay, well, steal their stuff then. Just steal their knowledge and just spit it out. Like, you know, Pablo Picasso once said, "Good artists borrow, great artists steal." So just pretend like you said it or you came up with the idea. You're like, I invented vacuum fusion on fiberglass. I'm like, wait a second. That's ballistic. Get out of here. But yeah, just spit it out, whatever you got, man. Hey, do you by any chance, it's a total shot in the dark, you might not. Yeah. Do you know who Austin Howard is by any chance?
I sure do.
Yeah, that's my homie for sure.
No way.
Yeah, so
he like last back up there, right?
Yeah, he's here now. Yeah. So he's from here, lived in Colorado, fished opens, only white dude on earth with dreadlocks that I think I like as a human being. You know, white dudes with dreadlocks is usually a sketchy move, but he pulls it off. But like 2 weeks ago, last week actually, Lola and I were out of town, and he like dog sat at our cabin, hung out with our bulldog all weekend, and
nice.
And he was getting his new boat from the dealer, and he's all pumped about that. I was just wondering if your paths had crossed at all, because you know, Colorado 100%. Opens and all that stuff. So do you still have any Deacon, do you still have any visions of going pro? Is that something you'd still like to aspire to do?
Yeah, good question, man. First of all, too, just on Austin stuff, he actually called me, connected him with Rec Lending in getting his next boat. So I heard all about his new boat. So fired him.
Heck yeah, that's cool.
He's gonna Camus, right? Isn't that what he went with?
Yep, he's in a Camus, which, speaking of the bass boat market, it just seems like there's a pile of those out there, so you can kind of get it.
There is too on like Bass Boat Central. There's a ton of them. They're sick too, though.
Yeah, but no, as far as pro stuff goes, right? So for me, I think what I've realized, and for myself, is number one, I pushed really, really heavy in it, right? And kind of did the whole co-angler thing, traveling via plane and then fishing, taking my boat to Toyota Series and different things. And so I am actually fishing at the highest level I've ever fished this next year, fishing the BAM Super 60 out west, which if you've not heard of that,
of course,
Mark Lizen is doing some awesome stuff out west, and I got to experience it in person last year, and that's what kind of made me make the jump. So how I qualified for that in finishing the top 10 in Angler of the Year, not last year, but the year prior. I didn't fish all the Toyota Series last year, but the year prior, and they gave me an invite. They gave an invite to everyone in the top 10 for one bass, the previous Apex, those anglers, and then the Toyota Series. And so I'm taking that this year. So I'm fired up for that. It's a completely different format for me. And to me, like where I'm at in the fishing space and just life in general, I've realized it's hard for me to fish well when I have to worry about making money in general or cashing a paycheck to get home and those types of things. And so for me, if I can fish this Western Series much closer to home, It's at a very high level, work on the sponsor side of things and have a lot going forward into that in 2025 and the podcast. And then also enjoy my career and what I do outside of that and just a more balanced life for me, but fishing at a super high level in a part of the country that I really like fishing. So that's what I'm doing this next year. I'm super fired up for it. It's going to be a bunch of fun.
Wow, dude. Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
doubt. That's sweet. You gonna head out to Clear Lake? They fishing any out there? Or?
Yeah. So what it's looking like in 2025, the schedule is going to go first on Pedro, which I've never been to. So I'm going to actually go pre-practice that with my buddy Conrad Demix, who's a freaking hammer out of Arizona. He and I and probably some others will go just because it's 30 days off limits. And there's no practice. So that's what makes this feasible for someone with a regular job too. So you roll into town on a Thursday night. Tournament starts Friday. So there's no practice, no official practice. And then Friday, Saturday, top 10 on the final Sunday. And it's like, it'll be a bunch of fun. I mean, it's got your Western hammers in it, Ish Monroe and Bryant Smith's fish in it. And let's see who else. There's some studs in it. So it'll be a good time and seeing some of these guys again.
Yeah.
How many boats is it like on Friday?
Yeah. So it's called the Super 60, but I think actually I think Mark capped it at 65 or 70 and that's full right now. So it's going to be a little bit more than that, but the idea is to be able to go chase some of these smaller bodies of water, which would be cool. And it's a $2,500 entry fee. So we're throwing around some dollars, but first place is 50 grand. And on that Sunday, that final day on Sunday, weights are zeroed and it's top 10 going to fish for 50. So should be fun.
So if you make Sunday, it's level playing
field. And
that's pretty cool.
And you can make Sunday, by the way, going both either you qualify, it's a hybrid format. So this kind of tripped me up at first and I wasn't sure about it, but after seeing it live and happen on the Columbia River this year in Oregon, I thought it was kind of neat. It'll make for some thinking through your strategy here. But so to make that final day, you qualify based on either your keeper count, the same way that Major League Fishing would do things. So there's a minimum per the body of water. So I think it's generally 14 inches, but if it's, a fishery that's got big fish in it, it might be more.
Sure.
So you qualify either based on your biggest 5 so it's a Tourney X platform or on your keeper count. So it'll go like first place is biggest weight. Second place was keeper count. Third place is second biggest weight. Fourth place is the second biggest keeper count. And it goes down that way for the top 10.
Whoa, that's crazy.
And then there's like double qualifiers, right? So like you may have somebody who smoked them, like Jake Boomer, for instance, on the Columbia River. I think he had like, the third biggest fish or the biggest bag of 5 fish limit, but he also had the highest keeper count. So he qualified whichever one of those was higher, and then it kicks it down to the next one. So,
wow.
You kind of got to think a little strategy, because if you qualify via keepers, but then you don't have big fish to go to on that final day, so it's kind of,
that's pretty neat.
It's going to be a bunch of fun. And I'm excited to fish that way. Like I've learned to rely a little bit on practice in a good way. I think I've just gotten to a point where I was getting fairly consistent with Toyota series, or more consistent than I've ever been, and finishing well in those. And that was due to practice, right? Like putting the time in, finding them, not burning fish down.
Sure.
But this is like going the opposite way, right? It's like, man, you're going out there and you need to start catching them fast. And so I think it's going to be a lot more moving baits, and just obviously dependent on the fishery and what you're looking at. But the championship actually, Nate, is at Clear Lake if I make it to that in November. So that should be money.
Yeah.
Dang, that sounds awesome.
Heck
that's a really cool sounding.
And it's well done, man. Like, so it televised on, I believe, the Outdoor Network, just like you had mentioned. And then it's YouTube show after each event. They do a heavy interviews, and just with the Serious Angler presence, we're going to do some more live podcasts there at the events. So that'll be super fun to do. I'm excited to to put more coverage out for it, because it's kind of the thing for Western anglers, in my opinion, because you look at it now, you basically have one bass, which is fantastic. And I would love to fish the open. I say that every year and then get busy trying to chase elk or something in September.
Yeah.
But now it's October. But so there's one bass, and then the Toyota Series pulled out of the West, right? And so there's all that's left is one bass and then the Bam Series. And so that to me is like, hey, this kind of creates an opportunity for guys. So looking forward to it.
Man, good for you, man. Good luck. I hope you legitimately, I hope you kill it, dude. I've always kind of understood why, you know, MLF and BASS don't really go west as far as like just the logistics of it. But I'm like, man, I want to see those boys out there. I know they have, obviously. Like it's not like it's never happened, like the Delta and Clear Lake and whatever, Havasu. But I'm like, man, I want to see those guys go out there again, because it's a totally, even just like the landscape, it's like an alien planet compared to what you see in lacrosse or, you know, whatever, like out east. You know, I've always wanted to see it again.
A 1,000,000%, right? Like a big passion of mine, and this will be a big teaser into some of the serious angler stuff in 2025 is the West, and how do we bring more coverage there? And I know it's always talked about, and man, I've had a lot of high level conversations with guys who have, you know, thrown a lot of money into the West, quite frankly, brands in the industry and stuff as well. And it's a tough sell, because it is far out, right? There's big distance from the East, and the bodies of water are spread out, and bass fishing is not nearly as popular as a whole, although there's some hardcore guys, and you see these great anglers that come from the West. But dude, you nailed it on the head. The landscapes and the quality of fisheries, like there's only a couple places that I would live in the US, and of that, like a lot of it is the West, just because it's so incredible as far as the fishing and the diversity of landscapes. And I mean, we're talking world-class fisheries, right? It sucks that we don't get to showcase those as often as, you know, your Gunnersville and places that the elites are hitting every year, or Major League Fishing, because there's some incredible places.
Yeah, and it's just that. It's just logistics. It's so freaking far away. like, you know, you get to, I don't know, Western Colorado, and you're like, I'm getting close. Like, no, you're not. Like,
no,
you
got
still
20
have
hours
a long ass way to go from there. Yeah, so it's just that. But I mean, the other thing that's really cool too, and we can move on from this. I've always really liked watching Western anglers like Brett Ayler and Ish, and, you know, I don't know who else, but like it seems like they just look at stuff, attack stuff a little bit differently, and obviously that makes sense. Like you know, where you come up as a huge former in who you are, but those West Coast guys fish different, and I think it's really cool to watch.
Dude, 100%. It's its own thing, right? And you know, I think I mean, it's a tale of like super finesse or really big baits and the love for clear water. And like you said, I love clear water. Like if I can be somewhere where it is super clean, like I'd rather be there more times than in the mud. And it's super fun to watch those guys. I mean, your Cody Myers, right? Like your guys who are just wicked when it comes to fishing.
Yeah. What is Cody Myers doing this next year now? He's back on the elites, right?
The elites,
man,
the
elites.
Yeah, he's such a stud. Good golly. He passed me at work. I was working like whenever they were in lacrosse or something, and he went by. I was like, oh my gosh, like on this little like 2-lane road. I'm like, that's Cody Meyer. Like I knew who it was, knew the boat wrap, knew the truck, whatever. But yeah, them boys are hammers. So let's transition a little bit, Deacon, real quick.
Yeah.
Tell me about a good taco spot out in Idaho. Is there good tacos in Idaho? Do you get a lot of crap about potatoes? I'm not going to make that joke.
So much crap about potatoes.
Yeah, I'm not going to make that joke. I feel like it's played out.
Yeah, there is. Man, first of all, I'm a huge tacos fan. I think we talked about this on the last time.
Oh boy,
I'm a big tacos. Honestly, the entire Mexican culture to me, when it comes to like food and drinks, are just top tier. Like I'm a big tacos guy, Mexican beer guy, margarita guy, tequila guy, like all of it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm trying to look at this place right now, though, that I'm thinking of in my head. It is ridiculously good. Tacos. It's kind of like it's higher end, but it's not crazy from a price standpoint. But it's like a chef, man, that is from Mexico City.
Okay.
And This place, guys, I think it's Almanor. I'm looking this up right now. Just
Okay. Yeah. I want to know. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Because it is like when you say like top rated in the state, quite frankly, it is incredible. Gosh, maybe it's not.
Is it in Boise?
It's not in Boise. That's, I mean,
Did I say it right? Did you hear it?
Yeah, I heard you.
Thanks,
you.
dude.
You really pronounced it right there. Gosh. But it's in the Treasure Valley. So kind of how Boise sets up is it's like, I said it wrong there. It's called Amano.
You said it with a Z, dude. What are you doing?
I know. It's because I've been in Colorado too long.
Yeah.
Amano is the place. It's a
Amano. Okay.
Amano, like it's a Mexican restaurant. Like I said, the guy's from Mexico City, the main chef, and all the tortillas are completely handmade.
The best.
They are just crazy, crazy good, and they have just a plethora of tacos, right? Like everything and anything.
That's dope.
And it's
how do you spell it? How do you spell Amano?
Amano.
Amano. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Man. So what do you get there? What's your go-to?
Man. Last time.
Or do you not have a go-to? Do you rotate through the menu?
Oh, I'm a rotator.
Yeah.
I'm 100% a rotator, but like I'm looking at it right now. I'm like a carne. This is getting me hungry, dude.
I would say, are you drooling right now? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, 100% because they're talking about oh man, this menu's insane. But I'm a carne asada. I'm a beef guy for the most part when it comes to tacos, like birria, carne asada, like all of it. I'm a fish tacos guy too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, dude.
Any of those you can't go wrong with, quite frankly. Like I just mixed it up and I'm always just getting a bunch of different kinds of tacos.
That's dope. Dang, Amano. Sure. That sounds awesome. Yeah. Do you ice fish too? Adam, I know you said you started doing ice fishing tournaments, but do you anymore?
I really don't. And where I'm at in Idaho, so the southern part of the state, quite frankly, stays pretty open. But we do have the higher elevation lakes that get ice, and one of them is well-known world-class perch fishing, right? I spend a lot of time up there in the summer and in the fall, not only bass fishing. First of all, you can go out there and absolutely jack great big largemouth and smallmouth, and no one knows about those. But then the perch there, I mean, legitimately 2 to 3 pound perch, like
good Lord,
like
megas.
Yeah. We've got guys coming from your country, flying the Midwest. Will like fly guys in to go ice fish this place, right?
That's awesome.
For the perch. And so it's got me, I've still got some of my ice fishing gear. I don't have everything that I had in Colorado, but it's got me thinking about it just for that.
Yeah, dude.
But I've had a bunch of fun chasing those perch around in the open water because they're just big schools, and it's been fun trying to find like those little bit bigger ones. But I mean, dude, you're talking just drag pullers, right? Like drop shotting, and you're like, oh, I got a nice smallmouth on. Just kidding.
Right.
It's a 3 pound ring perch. That's silly.
It's insane.
But I don't know what it is.
Aggressive they are.
They do get aggressive too, man. Yeah. And their mouth is sort of bass-ish. Like when they go after something, they'll open up sort of like a crappie, like that big, that big circle mouth. But there's something about catching fish through the ice that I don't know if it's just the water's cleaner, colder, whatever.
Yeah.
But man, when you make a taco out of like a dang cold water crappie, perch, bluegill, it's better. Like it literally actually tastes better. I don't think it's psychosemantic. I don't think it's just in my head. But yeah, it's awesome.
I totally agree, man. When I caught a bunch of them this fall and put them in the freezer, and like it's that, at least that, I mean, it's cold, right? I mean, it was getting close to ice at that point in time. And so I think those taste better. And then I totally agree with you. The ice is better. Like I don't eat nearly as many of them in the summer. And it's just like, I don't know if it's in my head or what, but they taste better when it's cold.
Yeah. That should be like a new business, like ice tacos, ice fish tacos, or it's through the ice tacos, through the ice fish tacos. There it is. That's the company, through the ice fish tacos. All right. So let's talk bass boats, dude. Let's talk through, again, not to blow your head up too much, but you do an incredible job on Business from the Bass Boat with the people you interview. The conversations are always fluid and like really real talk. I feel like I learned something about bass boats when I listened to it, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
appreciate that, boys.
Yeah, for sure, man. in 2024, we're almost into 25. I mean, we're real close. We're knocking on it. What's the state of bass boats? And I mean that in terms of like, is there anything new out there? Are we still trying to replicate old champion hulls? What's the price of bass boats? You know, because for a while there, it was absolutely freaking stupid. Like just like almost offensive, and I don't really like that word, but when you're strolling, you know, looking through Bassmaster magazine and like Ranger or whoever's putting on there like well equipped at 89,000, you're like, what the hell? Like you're just putting that on the page, well equipped at 99,000. Are you kidding? What's the state of things right now, man?
Dude, yeah. I mean, it's funny that you say that too, because like those NAPs, nationally advertised price, I'm learning all this stuff just by having this podcast and talking to these guys. But like,
yeah,
even then, that $89,000 boat and those $99,000 boats, like they were well equipped, but they didn't have everything that guys want or expect on a $100,000 boat. I mean, by the time you get done with it, it's 120, 130 on some of these boats. So I totally agree, man. It was absurd. Pricing wise, during COVID, you just saw a absolute boom, right?
Like a super spike.
Consumer spike. And so these companies, and not to fault at them, but they had the ability to charge higher, and they had to kind of maintain selling boats, right? And so that's kind of what happened. And since then, man, there's been a decrease now in demand. Now, as we've kind of stabilized economically, and I wouldn't even say it's regardless of what side of the political aisle you were on, just having the president decided has a huge consumer sentiment, just of stability. And so with that, stability creates demand for people to say, well, maybe I will buy a bass boat this year, or maybe that bonus that I'm going to get for Christmas, I will lean into a bass boat because I'm comfortable in my career or whatever it may be. So I think what we're sitting at right now, first of all, prices have come down for the most part on most brands. You've seen kind of lower pricing, and kit boats, right? Like your Phoenix 721 XL, your baseline Skeeter, your baseline Falcon, some of those lower price boats have come down a little bit more now. I mean, you're seeing stuff advertised in the 70s. And so don't get me wrong, still a pile of money, but I feel like we're in a place where stuff has come down. The used boat market has come down significantly.
Yeah.
I currently have a Phoenix listed for sale with zero activity on it. I mean, very little activity. I've had a couple people reach out, but like the used boat market is very tough. I mean, we are in the off season, don't get me wrong, but like good opportunity for someone interested in buying a boat, I think, both in the used space and then also as we're kind of year end into 2025, trying to dump models, those types of things, or year end models. I think it's a good place to be for someone if they're serious about buying a boat right now.
Yeah, that's encouraging for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. What do you think it is that's kind of taken that used boat market and kind of like kind of slowed its progress here over the last year or so?
Dude, yeah, I certainly don't know all of it by any means, but I think part of it are the folks that maybe bought boats during COVID, bought bass boats and said, I want to be a bass pro, or I want to get into bass fishing. I think that there's some of that consumer loss, right? We're seeing that across the industry. I mean, you talk to every brand that we have certainly talked to, for the most part, has had a decrease in demand since COVID, right? Like we've had this huge influx in the industry in general. So I think part of that is some of that sell-off, number one, and just the overproduction that companies had. I mean, with new boats, right? So you had all these producers that started saying, holy cow, this is the demand we're seeing in the marketplace, and really overbuilt in some situations. And then now there's a lot of new boats that are sitting and can be priced and sold lower. And therefore, I think some guys are coming out of used boats and some guys are going, well, if I could spend 55 on a new bare boat or buy a used one at 45, well, maybe I'll go for the new one for $10,000 more. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Adam, that you probably can't answer.
Mhm.
When you see boats like, and this is not a diss, I think they're freaking dope. But when you see boats like an Icon, right?
Yep.
Or I don't know, like a fully decked out Blazer, or just some boats that are just not cheap boats, a high end Bass Cat, whatever. Are they worth it?
Dude, great question. And I'll be 100% honest with my response there. There's a market there for those boats. Like there's some wealth out there that wants the latest and greatest and the biggest and the baddest, and that's great, man. Go chase that down. I have always been a simple is better when it comes to bass boats. Bass boats break. There's stuff always that goes wrong. So, in my
Always.
opinion, if you could buy a $70,000 boat or $140,000 boat, I just don't see crazy differences, right? I mean, and case study on this right here. I've got a very good friend of mine that fishes both the opens. I'm not going to throw him on blast here, but he fishes both the opens and he'll fish a lot of stuff out west. He's very, very good. And he runs multiple two boats, and he runs two Phoenix 721s, the cheapest, Phoenix model, the same model that I run. And I think I was a part in convincing him, like, dude, you don't need all this fancy stuff right on these boats.
Sure.
And he's able to, like, he could have spent, $110,000 on his Ranger like his previous boat was, but instead he's like, man, I would rather have two to be able to leave a truck and a boat when I'm fishing out west and out east and all that sort of a thing. And
That's
so
crazy.
I think
Wow.
there's a trend with some of that, man, too. Not necessarily like that situation where guys have two boats. There's not that many people out there that have two boats. But I think even had a conversation with Russell Marine, Justin Russell over there, who sells a ton of boats every year. And he feels like he's seeing that same trend of these dudes who have previously bought very expensive boats or that buy a new boat every year, a new truck every year, are like, man, I want it to be simple. I want it to work. And I'd rather it cost me 65, 75,000 instead of 110,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I always wonder when I see those boats. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, Nate, but when I see those Icons and I keep going to that because I remember when they first came out with their
right.
It's kind of I mean, they're made by a freaking yacht company, right? So I mean, they're not cheap. They're not cheaply made. But I remember when they first kind of launched with old Jacob Wheeler, and people were asking them on podcasts, like, what do these things cost? And they were like, well, we don't make them cheap or something. I can't remember how the dude answered it, but he wasn't even lying. Like, he wasn't like, well, they're competitive. Like, he basically said, like, they're more expensive because we're doing this, this, and this. And what I was going to say is that, like you said, I think there's a certain cross section of the populace that can either A, afford it, or B, necessitates something like that. And I know necessity is obviously somewhat subjective because some of that is just like keeping up with the Joneses, and you see homeboy pull up to the ramp with a 2500 2025 Cummins decked out to the gills and a brand new Icon, and he's got 300,000 between his boat and his truck, and you're like, oh, that's so dope, but you don't really need it. You know what I'm saying? And then of those people who want it, there's like even smaller section who can even afford it. And so I was always just kind of wondering, like, how many boats do they put out a year? How many are they making a year? Do they build based off of like, well, we know most people probably can't afford this, so we're only going to make like 30 a year, or some number. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've never really talked to you about this, Nate, but I was curious what you thought about that because you and we're millionaires, but just barely.
No doubt, yeah, no doubt. We're scratching that surface for sure.
Yeah.
Of millions, but yeah, no, I don't know, man. I really think it's wild. I think a lot of it is with like we said with Icon, like some of the innovation that they're throwing at bass boats is like it's pretty legit, and
some of it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think, if, I don't know what they have for patents or anything like that, but it's definitely the type of stuff to where I could see like other manufacturers like, hey, that was a hell of an idea. We probably should pick up on that, like, controlling the live well temperatures and, stuff like that. Like that's huge. And to think, a yacht company thought of that instead of somebody who's been making bass boats and hauling fish around for 40 years, like just stuff like that. But yeah, I think those price points are pretty astronomical, but
pretty bananas.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, just crazy.
And
I
Icon does, by the way, they did this year come out with the VLX, kind of their cheaper model, right?
do you know what it retails at? Is cheaper funny here? Is it subjective?
It's I just found it. So it's cheaper, but you know, it's still expensive, don't get me wrong, but it is a significant difference from, I think that other one was like, man, I was at the Classic when it was unveiled.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say the number on it was like 140 or 160. Like it was nuts on the Victory one, or not the Victory. That's the VLX, the LX21 fully loaded, like what Jacob Wheeler's running, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the VLX says anyone can be an Icon under 100K all day. So it's probably under 100. That comes, with graphs, everything, right?
Sure.
But like, that's still, dude. I mean, I shake my head when I think about bass fishing and myself fishing tournaments, and I'm like, where would I be if I didn't throw all this money into boats? And I'm like holy,
living it up on
man.
Wall Street somewhere, and just yeah, that's very true. That's like that whole thing, like that joke everybody says, like, how do you make a bass fisherman a millionaire? Have him start with 2 million, because like we waste so much money on tackle and boats and whatever else. But okay, so I'm gonna throw some hate towards Icon right now, just at random, not real hate, really surfacey hate. So like you have a yacht company, you know what I'm saying? You have Jacob Wheeler, who is, in my opinion, pretty objectively top one, if not top two anglers on planet Earth. The dude just doesn't not win. I know it's a double negative, but he just wins everywhere he goes. You can like him, dislike him, whatever, but the dude's a stick and a half, right? Like a hammer among hammers.
Yep.
You got all this money invested, all this research. You got the daggum like glove box in the front of the windshield. You know what I'm saying? The crazy like arrowhead design, the cooled live. I'm so surprised they called it Icon of all the things. That just doesn't seem like a very unique name. And then to spell it like IKON, like it sounds like a rock band from like the 80s or something. Like we're Icon. I just thought for like everything they put into it, they could have come up with a cooler name. I don't know. Maybe I'm on an island here, but I just thought with all that invested, like they should have sat around with a board of investors and somebody goes, we're going to call it Icon. And somebody's like, that's not a good name. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Nate, you got any thoughts there?
I mean,
maybe it is just me. I don't hate it. I just think
I don't.
investment,
I'm pretty
all the cost, all
it.
the price, Icon. I don't know. It just doesn't seem. And I get what you're doing. Like there's that BMX company in the Quad Cities, Standard. But I actually think that's a dope name because you're calling yourself the Standard. So like you're calling yourself the Icon. I get it. I just don't think it's that dope.
Yeah, it does for what they put into those boats, the manufacturing, the innovation, all that. It seems maybe a touch too simplistic.
It's a little on the nose.
If you want to put it, a certain way, but I don't know. It's a boat name.
You don't care. Yeah, you don't care.
It's a boat name for a boat that costs more than my house. So I mean, I ain't looking at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, for sure. How weird would that be, though? Right? Like you always hear that thing. Like, would you rather have like a crappy truck and a super nice boat, or like a really nice truck and a crappy boat? And like every bass fisherman almost always says a really nice boat and a crappy truck. But like, can you imagine though, like taking your boat and like backing it into a garage where the boat is like twice the cost of the garage, or like more than the house? It's like that's wild.
That is wild to think about, actually.
Like that's crazy when you put that in perspective.
It's funny because like I don't look down on, but I grew up with the mindset of like toys are a extra thing and not a necessity by any means, right?
Yeah.
And you like see the guy that has the brand new fifth wheel camper and like fancy UTVs and the ski boat and all this and that, and it's like, man, I can't talk shit to any of those guys because I have a freaking bass boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Like everyone's got their thing, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not hating at all because like where I live up here, it's like skeeter country. Like everybody is skeeter. Like there's a really dope boat dealership up here, the Boat Center, which is a big skeeter place, and like Schlapper, who's a an elite pro, he's a skeeter guy. Like everybody here is skeeter. Skeeter is not the brand of bass boat I would pick if I could buy any bass boat, and that's no hate though. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if
Everyone
you
has
want to
their
fish out with
preference.
Skeeter, knock yourself out. That's awesome. They're great boats. They look good. The Yamis are dope. I have no problems with them. It's just not my thing. You know, I'm not judging, but whatever. All right, let's transition a little bit. If you could, we'll ask you the same thing we asked Andy. If you could build your dream bass boat rig, and I'm talking like at this point, forget all that stuff that you told your buddy. You know, like the the balanced price. Price doesn't matter. Any color, any hull, any you could mix them up if you wanted. I don't really care. Motor combination, electronics. What do you got, dude? Do you have any idea? What do you think?
Yeah. Man, I go between either going like old school, right?
Yeah.
And I like how he did that as far
Yeah.
as like the whole, right? Like the guys love. And I've been in some, I really like
The hole.
my Legend. I loved my Legend. I like Champs a lot. Like all of those are great. I think I would still if, like you said, money's no object, like just whatever you want right now.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm not super particular on brands. I really am not. I love a lot of different brands in the bass boat world. I want it to get me from point A to point B. I like a narrower boat to some degree. I don't, and that's total personal preference.
Like we talking like Bullet, Allison narrow, or how narrow are you talking?
I mean, like I'm going off of the 721. I mean, that hole to me, I mean, it's a Stratus hole. It's the old Stratus hole is what that is. But that hole is just, man, dynamite in rough water. It's a little narrow to team fish off of, but it's a great hole. It's a very fast hole, right? Like that's Phoenix's fastest hole. So I have not spent any time in that 721 XL, which they made it just a touch wider.
Sure.
That is probably right now, if like money was no object, sponsor obligations, whatever, I think that I would be interested in checking that thing out. It's not a crazy expensive boat,
sure,
but it has the same kind of ride quality, the speed, all of that you're looking for. I would probably put right now I'm torn between either a Suzuki or a Yamaha.
Dude, the Suzukis are so sick.
Dude, so reliable, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's the thing for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's you do lose some speed compared to the Yamahas and the Mercs, but as I start to just keep breaking down on the water as everyone does or whatever it may be, it's like, man, there's something to that, just never having to worry about turning it on. And you're in the country where that, is just guys are putting boats on, it's getting boats stuck often, and to just have something that's always turning. To me, that's they're really, really cool and making some big headway.
They are too, man. Yeah, and that we talked about this with Andy too. That stealth one, like the flat black, it's just so sick. Like that is just such a cool looking motor.
Absolutely.
It's just so simplistic. Like if you're into like design at all, like it's just, I mean, it's perfect. It's just simple and clean and kind of intimidating looking. Nate, 100%. Do you remember what Andy said about that one Suzuki, that guy who was running, how many hours it had on it? Do you have any idea what that was?
Yeah, it was 14,000.
Oh, yeah, 14,000. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't that sound like a made up number?
250 Suzuki, or are we talking like an ocean? Like,
no, I don't think it was an ocean one, was it?
He didn't say if it was an ocean one. He did say it was a guide.
It was a guide, so a ton of idling and whatever. I thought he was saying something like big water, like Michigan, Erie.
Maybe that's
like that,
what it was. Yeah.
But yeah, 14,000 hours, and he's still running it. Like it's 14,000 and going.
I love that.
Isn't that insane? Yeah, that's wild. And he said too, like, so I have a Legend, a V20, which obviously is it's for how wide it is, it's pretty quick, but it's a humongous beam, big boat, whatever. And he was saying that he thinks pretty close to what I have a E-Tech G2 250, which Andy hates. I love my motor.
Those are sweet motors as long as they can keep them running.
If you get the right one.
Get out.
If you get the right one, it's a killer. It's a rocket. But if you don't, but anywho, he was saying that on the Suzuki, because he's kind of a mad scientist, so he's like, I would get the right pitch on the prop and the right cupping, I'd be having like a 29 or something. And I was like, holy moly. He thinks he could get me pretty dang close to the same speed. But anyway, keep going. So you got the Phoenix was the 721 XL, and a Suzuki maybe.
Yep. Dude, I'm like I said, I'm kind of the worst person to pick for this because I like a lot of different. I'm like, man,
That's good. I like it. No, I like
I
your
like
your
Falcons a
logic.
lot right now. Like I'm
Yeah, I
into
really
a
like
bunch of different
Falcons too.
boats.
Yeah.
But I think something's still simplistic. I think even if money was no object, I'd want it to just run, right?
Okay.
And having rocker panels on the boat versus a fancy keypad, like all that stuff to me, like I don't know, all that stuff doesn't matter as much. So those, if I were to go old school boat just out of this, I'd probably
Yep.
go a Legend Alpha 211.
Those are such awesome hulls.
That hull was a freaking rock solid in big water, and it
Mhm.
was a little bit narrow, so it was a little quicker. Either one of those, the Alpha 199 or the 211, those were
Mhm.
two really bad to the bone holes. I like the V22 a lot, but I'm a little bit more of a narrow
Right.
boat
Yep.
guy. And it's
Yep.
not only for speed; it's also for getting around docks and fishing shallow.
Sure.
Having that ability to be in and out of things. Graph wise, right now, what I'm looking to run on my next boat would be an Apex at the back, Humminbird Apex at the console. If money was no object, I'd probably run two like I am now. I've got two Helixes at the console. On my next one, I think I'm just going to go with a 16 and just split
just one
screen stuff.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Do one big one at the console. And then up front, I'm probably going to stick to two graphs right now, and that would just be a Garmin for live scope and then another Humminbird, either one of the new Humminbird units, either an Apex. If money was an object, I guess I'd probably run an Apex. So it would be, those two up there. If I don't know, depending on what tournament series I was fishing and those kinds of things, I wouldn't mind having three to have a perspective mode with a Garmin as well up front, rather than having to switch that over all the time, kind of a pain, or having to be able to see both views for forward facing. But pretty simple with those two things, and then poles or Minn Kota Raptors on the back.
Yep.
And let it rip pretty much from there.
That's dope, dude. Are you a 360 guy?
Motor.
Oh yeah, duh.
Oh, trolling motor. Man, I'm a Minn Kota guy, so I'd go with the Quest. I've got one sitting in my garage right now.
Oh, sweet.
If I get a new boat or if I put it on the Phoenix. But yeah, one of the Quests. I've used them all at this point. I like them all. They're fine. I've just gotten the most used to Minn Kota, and it feels like the most reliable. Feels like home, I guess, fishing.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you messed around with that power pole move at all?
No, but that's the other one that I would maybe consider. I've seen it on guys' boats, but I haven't. And honestly, dude, it wouldn't even be because like it looks really good. It looks quiet. I think it's simplistic. It looks light, but dude, power pole in the industry, like power pole has the best customer service. I don't know if you have ever dealt.
Everybody says that. Yeah,
dude. Every event that I would go to, I loved that they have a full travel guy at like all the Toyota series, all the opens, whatever it may be. Like if I have anything wrong or anything that's like making a noise at all, it's like go straight to the power pole guys. They would literally rip everything out. Like, hey, we're gonna put a brand new pump in, and I'm like, I don't think I need that. They're like, we just want to do it, and it's just like, just why? It's like, well, because we felt like it might.
We just want to
noise. Yeah. They just such a high level of that, and so that's just with how things break, man. I don't even blame it on the products. It's just how we kind of treat these things. I think too. Sometimes it's they're pretty incredible as a brand.
That's dope. Yeah, that's really dope. We're supposed to be having our buddy Austin back on, Austin Felix, and he went to the move last year. And that's like one of the biggest things I want to talk to him about is like, what do you think about it? You had one season with it, like compared to other trolling motors, whatever. I remember when it first came out, I'll fall on my sword. I was like, dude, this is so stupid looking. Like the teeny little head and the silver shaft. And I'm like, is it a motor guide, whatever?
That's exactly what it reminded me of. Like
all
an old
this hype, for so long. And then it comes out and it's like $6,000 or whatever, like $5,000, whatever. And I'm like, good Lord. And this is what you came up with? And then I start hearing about it and seeing videos of it. I'm like, dude, this thing's like I saw one video of this dude, like straight up, like how we talking about YouTubers, all you need is your phone. Like homeboy had a straight like vertical video and he's like, watch this, like kicked it up to full speed, put his phone and like hit it. And you could barely hear the thing, like with the phone, like right, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, whoa, like that's pretty legit. They do look a little weird. Like they look like an old like 80s phone like mounted on the wall in your kitchen. You got the super long cord so you can walk in the living room, you know?
It does. It has the curly cord.
Yeah, the little curly Q cord with the teeny little head on top. But yeah, they're pretty dope, dude. But I like your boat. If you got a color, if you're not wrapping it, what color you going with?
Yeah, man. I'm a dude. Actually, money's no object and I'm not wrapping it and I don't care about being seen on the lake, because that's a big deal too. I think on my next boat, I will stay with a pretty mild, not that anyone wants to follow me around. I just don't like being seen as far as if I'm finding something or that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I go with a pretty bland, silver, black, blue, like something that doesn't really crazy pop, that looks like another boat or anything else. But if the dopest boat, and this would be sick now that we're talking about like Suzuki versus Yamaha, I had not all white, but I had a white Legend. I would love to go straight Stormtrooper, like white boat, completely white, everything, white motor, white poles. Like I think that would be super sick. And
that would look really, if you went all in on the white,
all white, like nothing, just pretty much all white, maybe black pinstripes or something, but like all white, white motor. And I think that would look really, really good. And the other thing with white boats, it's kind of like having a white truck. It hides scratches really well. Like
it does. Yeah.
White boats just hide scratches. Number one. The only negative is you have to keep it clean, right? Like if you've got any slime, you got to clean it off. But
yeah, boy.
It other than that, like I don't know, man. I really like a white boat.
I like that idea, like the dedication to I was thinking about that because Suzuki does make a white 250, but I wish they would do a white out version like they do the blackout version, like a white one with white decals with white everything. Because I think that would look so sick.
Like just a little different shade of white for the decals.
Just so it has a little bit or just a different sheen even. You could do like matte with gloss or whatever, like a matte motor, gloss decals or vice versa. I think that would look so. And if you went full balls out dedicated like white trolling motor, white poles, like that would really look pretty freaking cool.
That would be sick, dude.
That would be dope.
That would be a setup for sure.
But you would be absolutely noticeable. Like everyone would know who you were.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No everybody. There's that all white boat with the white poles and the white motor. There's Adam over there. He must be on him. He's been in that same spot for 4 hours, whatever. Yeah.
Or like, wow, that guy's an idiot. I've never caught a fish over there in my life.
Yeah, he must not realize they took all the fish out of that section of the lake. But so let's a couple quick other things, man, because we're over an hour and I don't want to keep you up super late or whatever. But if I came to you with your knowledge of bass boats and just whatever and said, hey, give me some advice. I want to get my first used fiberglass, bass boat. I guess it doesn't have to be, but most are. But if I want to go my first bass boat, give me a couple of things to look for and a couple things to like get the heck out of Dodge. If I see this on a used bass boat, like go the other direction. You got any advice for somebody?
Dude, yeah, great question. I get this question a lot just with buddies, right? And
sure, cool.
Guys buying boats and different things. I bought boats and been with a lot of friends while buying boats. And number one is certainly stuff just around your transom, right? So like I'm generally going to get that motor checked out by a mechanic. I mean, dude, it's $100 to go get a compression test and just have a guy go through things. So on a used boat, just get everything checked out. And then if it's an older boat, so 2008-ish and older is kind of where you get into transoms that were wood or not completely composite. And even we've seen newer boats. I've heard of Tritons, having transom issues and things. And so you want to be careful in every situation, but especially in those older boats, wood can rot in those transom if there's any holes or anything like that. And so that is a major repair that will put you out of commission completely, right? So those are the two big things. Get the motor checked out, get the transom checked out, and pay attention to, little stress cracks are okay in most situations. You're going to get that on every boat. It's fiberglass. You're putting them in rough water. But when you start seeing big gouges and just different things, take a good look around not only the transom, but just any kind of supporting places in the boat. Midway through the boat is kind of where you'll also have on the gunnels, and then also in compartments, you can open up compartments and see little fiberglass cracks and things. And so little things, again, I'm not super concerned about, but when those things start to be, a little bit wider, half a centimeter, I don't even know, like something where it's like, wow, that's pretty noticeable size difference. It's not just a hairline fracture. Like I'd be a little nervous in those situations.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I remember going to get my first bass boat with Nate Triton, a '99 Triton TR 21, and I didn't even know how to drive a bass boat. So like I had Nate do the test drive on the lake. We had he knew what he was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, I think even what you just said right out of the giddy is really important. Like if you're going to look at a bass boat and you don't know, that's fine, but bring somebody with who does.
The trailer too.
I
think another thing people
that's a huge thing.
Don't look at is like trailers, make sure that hopefully the tires are wearing fairly evenly. Axles are expensive to replace. Bearings are in good shape. There's going to be some rust, but not anything crazy from that perspective. So just general knowledge of looking at the trailer and checking conditions there.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Such an easy part to overlook when you're going to buy a boat and not to think about what the trailer condition is, that it's sitting on. Yeah, that's huge. Because if you want to go fishing, that's the part that's getting you right. Where you need to go, so
yeah
100%.
That's a big deal. Well, before we let you go, man, do you want to tell us what you have coming up with Serious Angler, or what you can tell us, or what does that kind of look like rolling into 25 for you guys? Because I know, like, number one, if anybody's listening to Tackle and Tacos, if you don't listen to Serious Angler, the network, you should. They're putting out some really good content consistently. I feel they're sort of like us in a certain way, where like they're not just having these absolute top level pros. They'll have like biologists, and they'll have boat owners, and they'll have guys who are into kayaks, and they'll just have good conversation. It's not the same formula all the time. So make sure you check it out. But what do you guys have coming up, man?
Man, appreciate that. Yeah. A lot, dude. So we're really excited for 2025. We've got, a lot on the books, changing wise and adding more content, which should be really, really fun. And so biggest things to look for are new segments within the Serious Angler show, right? That's kind of our flagship show with everything. And so be on the lookout for that. Not going to tease everything there quite yet, but new segments related to some of my passions, as well as other areas in the space where we're not only, my partners also passion wise, but things that we feel like are needed to be talked about, and just bringing positivity, man. I mean, there's so much negativity in the fishing world, and goal for us big in 2025 is to stay really positive. Like, fishing is freaking fun. And let's keep it that way. So, a lot there, a lot more content, YouTube content. We've upgraded a lot of gear going into 2025, and just more post-production editing. So excited to showcase a lot of that. And man, name of the game is consistency, and we're gonna try and improve there and continue to push out a bunch of stuff. So thanks for the shout out.
Absolutely. Nate, did you have something? Sorry, you look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just not other than you guys do an awesome job. Like like you were saying with everything at the Serious Angler podcast network. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you guys kill it for sure. And like I said, I think it's diverse enough. So like if you're a kayak guy, there's something for you. If you're a bass boat guy, something for you. If you're just fishing in general, or if you're a lure junkie like we are, like tackle junkies, the Lure Lab with Andrew is awesome. He does a super good job of it. And the thing I like about him is he's not super polished. And that's not to say he doesn't do a good job, but he just feels really authentic. When he talks,
100%.
It sounds like he's talking like a normal dude. Like you bumped into him at the tackle shop and he's like, man, have you seen this Chris Johnston jig? It's all black. And that might not seem like a lot, but he just seems like a dude that could talk fishing with you. And I think that's really cool. So before we let you go, man, how can people find you? How can people find your show, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I guess best way for myself personally is just Adam Deakin on Instagram, Facebook, all those.
And spell Deakin. It's not what I thought it was.
I know, man. That's.
I thought it was like a church.
Be better about that. I don't think anyone, Jordan, in my entire life, if someone is asking me my name, like if it's a teacher, whatever, the first day of class, I've never had someone spell it right the first time in my entire life.
Ever.
In my entire life.
Yeah,
I
ever.
Can't think of a time. Yeah, because everyone thinks exactly that. Deacon like the church. So
Deacon.
Yep. But it's Deakin. So Adam
Okay.
Deakin. And that's everything personally with me is there. And then as far as our Serious Angler network goes, search Serious Angler on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. That is the main hub for everything we have going. We have a website as well. And then, of course, all those other shows are attached in some way to Serious Angler. So that's the best two ways to look at it.
Awesome. Perfect. All right, Nate, you got anything else for the man before we let him roll?
I don't think so. Well, I do have one more thing.
Well,
you got. We're talking about bass boats. You mentioned yours is up for sale.
Yeah.
What are you looking at getting? Just another Phoenix? Because that was the dream boat, but you got
man.
one, you got one in mind.
I'm certainly open right now. We've had some discussions with different brands in the industry, and so things are kind of are open. I would say one for sure that I am certainly considering right now is the Falcon. Man, I'm excited about
so
that
sick.
boat. I've been told that that's the nitro killer, and I'm a guy that is into cheap quality boats, and so simple is great for me. So that's one that I'm looking heavily into, and I'm kind of thinking about the 20-foot rather than the 21-foot. Just keep it simple, get a little more speed out of things. So that's probably the target right now, but we'll see where kind of things go before season starts rolling in March of 2025.
That's sick. Yeah, Falcon. I feel like Falcon is
awesome.
Really coming into their own right now. Like people are really starting to kind of take notice. It didn't hurt that Hamner won the classic out of one,
right?
And they just have big decks, but they're not like over the top wide where it doesn't make any sense. Like they're still quick, they're nimble, like they're cool boats, man. They're really cool boats.
I absolutely love the glassed in Phoenix logo in the boat. Like that is just, and it looks so good.
Are you talking the Falcon?
On the Falcon one? Like the head?
Falcon, not Phoenix.
Dude,
Falcon.
it is clean.
The Falcon, the
it
glass
is really
Falcon.
Clean. Yeah.
On the lower back half of the boat.
Yeah.
It's
I literally just sent Nate and Lola one last week from Bass Boat Central. It's like a black and purple one. And I don't know if it's because I've always been such a giant Aaron Martens fan, but he was always like purple. But man, that color combination is just so filthy. Gosh, it looks good.
I'm the same way. I've never been a purple guy, but I've seen a couple black and purple boats here lately that have really caught my eye.
They're filthy.
Holy cow, that looks really good.
Yeah, isn't Nate? Isn't that what? Yeah, that one right there. Yeah, black. It's like not a ton of purple, but it is it's disgusting. Yeah, it looks so good. What does Colin fish out of, Nate? His
our buddy
Legend. Yeah, is his Alpha 199?
Yeah, 199 Alpha.
Yeah, his is black and silver and purple, and it's just, and he's got it completely. It's almost like a resto mod on a car because it's like a whatever it is, like a late 90s or something, or like early 2000s. 05 something maybe, but and he's got like a brand new 4-stroke on it, brand new Raptors, Ultrex Force, like all the new stuff on like that hull, and he keeps it so clean. Like that's a rig and a half.
One last thing along retro rigs like that. I love stuff like that. I've never been that guy to keep something like that nice and restore like that, but I love seeing it. If you get down to Havasu ever or Arizona, Southern California and into Arizona, dude, I have never seen so many champions in my
champ.
Yeah, Nate knew. Yeah, Nate's a champ guy.
Champ country. Yeah,
dude, there must have been a heck of a champ dealer going through there early in the 90s or whatever.
That's funny.
Dude, there is so many badass old champs with brand new motors on them, exactly like you're saying. Like guys that have just kept them in such good condition.
Yep, I love that. My another one last thing. My good buddy Jeremy Moldrum, he runs this thing called Moldy's Marine here in Wisconsin, where he just does like pretty much anything you need on a boat, whether it's electronics to carpet to fiberglass work, transom replacement, whatever. But what is his Nate? What's his 95? His champ?
Yeah, it's 94 or 95.
But
200 size, 204 maybe.
But it's such a sick boat. But it's a narrow deck, but it was like the old school, like where it had like that big runway cut out. So he just completely like fabbed up a whole series of whatever. So now the deck's like, it's not wide, but it's super long. It's all filled in. He's like repainted it and redone the transom. He's got all modern electronics on it. And that thing's bad. And those suckers too, man, those old champs, like I don't know how shallow those new ballistics float. You know, they talk about how they float real high. That sucker, that champion, I mean, he will scare the life out of you cooking, 68 miles an hour in 2 inches of water. And that sucker is bad to the bone. Those old champs are no joke, dude. They are so sick.
I love it.
Yeah, that's dope. But anyway, all right, man. We appreciate you jumping on tonight, man. We wish you the best of luck on the tournament series with BAM, with Serious Angler, everything. Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate you guys having me, man. Glad we
All right,
made
brother.
this happen. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, you guys have a good rest of your week.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.
All right, so that was the dude, man. That was Adam Deakin. Well, worth the wait. All the
Heck yeah.
scheduling and calendars and jumping and time and blah 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 blah. Just a real dude. Just a sincere fella who knows his stuff. I didn't know he was real looking at going pro and fishing such a serious tournament series. I think honestly for me, I'm not afraid of anybody on the water. Like if I fish a local tournament and a couple pros show up, I'm not like, oh no, I'm like, oh dope, I'm gonna beat that dude's ass. You know what I'm saying? Like not in a cocky way, but like I'm gonna go after him. So I'm not really afraid of that. What would scare the fire out of me is $2,500 per tournament, like committing up front.
Yeah, that's a big chunk.
You 30 days off limits with no practice. So like everybody's done that where you go to fish a derby and you have practice, and let's say the derby's on Sunday, so you pre-fish on, I don't know, Wednesday, Thursday, because I like to have a little gap in there. I don't want to be on top of the fish, right before the derby or whatever. And you get there 2 days later, you're like, man, I hope what I found holds up. I hope that school is still there. I hope they're still hitting jigs under docks or whatever. Man, I hope they're still there from a month ago. That's crazy. That's a whole different thing, dude. Like that's a whole different strategy, like for that much money, and that gum.
Yeah, no, that's a wild kind of like you said, idea or I guess tournament format. Like that whole thing is really different and sounds really, really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're saying, no practice. I couldn't imagine that.
A month?
One of my, and that's like if you want to pre-practice, that this is a major circuit that he's going to be fishing. So like some of the tournaments may be like out of range, or you can't schedule a pre-practice a month in advance to some of these. So you're going to show up naked. Show up to a lake completely blind. Like I really like the idea of like fishing on instincts and just kind of feeling your way through stuff. But like one of my like most important factors of practice, especially on a new body of water, is like navigation. Getting around knowing having an idea of where I want to go, how I'm going to get there, how I'm going to get back, things to avoid. Like that's showing up to a lake I've never been to with nothing
with that kind of money on the line, fishing against freaking Ish Monroe. I mean,
right.
Brian Schmidt, and now you got to worry about like, how do I navigate this lake? I haven't been on it yet. Like, man, that's wild. I think that's so dope that he's doing it. And I think he gave some really good advice on like just use boat stuff, like really simple, like take it to a mechanic, actually look at the transom. I mean, like, basic stuff, but it's really, really important. You don't want to jump into a, used $50,000 boat and then down the line the freaking transom breaks off or the motor stops firing on one cylinder, just whatever. I mean, it's simple stuff, but it's really good. And like I said, man, big plug to Serious Angler. They've been doing the fishing podcast game for a long time, and what I think they do really well is something that I aspire to do well for Tackle and Tacos, which is you and me are super good buddies, super close friends, but we're not the exact same type of person. Lola is not the same type of human that you are. Is not the same type of human I am. And so I think Serious Angler has different personalities within their shows and their main show, just like I hope that we do here as well. And I think that's dope. I think they do that really, really well. So make sure you check that out. And until the next one, which I do believe will be post-Christmas, I'm really excited. We can announce it. It's all like set, whatever. We're going to have our buddy Eric from Working Class Bow Hunter on the podcast. And you might think to yourself like, oh, you're going to talk about bow hunting. maybe. But we're also going to talk about Eric's other love besides his wife and his fam, which is ice fishing. I don't think a lot of people know that Eric loves ice fishing, and I'm really trying to, don't tell him, but I'm going to try and like sneak him into like committing to coming up here for like an ice fishing weekend or something. Like, dude, just bring the whole family. You can hang out.
Right.
We'll all go out on the lake. It'll be dope. Have you seen these videos, Nate? I've never done it, but it sounds so fun. Have you seen these videos where people like camp on the ice? And I'm not talking about like an ice castle or like a super nice like hut. I'm talking about like on a pop-up shanty. People will sleep out on the ice, like put cots out or put those like those home gym, like those foam mats down as like insulation. And I think that'd be fun as crap, dude.
Yeah. No, I'm good. No.
He said, yeah, no.
No.
I
mean, just think about
fun.
it. It's 4 in the morning. It's pitch
Yeah.
black. You've been sleeping for, a good couple hours, whatever, and you hear the ice crack underneath you. Like,
dude, that is not a good
on.
sound, dude. We took Gussie out for his first little ice fishing trip the other day, just on the local lake here in Strum. We caught nothing, and he doesn't know. He's never really been on ice. Like he'll turn 3 in January. He's never really been like out walking around on an ice lake, hard water, and so he's walking on the snow and he has traction. But then he gets to a spot that had like kind of blown open, steps on it, and just falls on his back instantly because he had no idea. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'll never forget the first time when I brought my first bulldog. His name was Bauer when I lived in Texas, and I brought it. Something just fell in the garage. That's all. It's all good. I brought my first bulldog up from Texas and brought him up in the winter, and he saw snow, and he went to walk up a snowbank because he had no idea that it was just like super soft, and he's like disappeared into it, because he like it was just like fluff. It was just like recently there. It wasn't like all hard and icy and whatever. And Gus got on the ice and had no idea, so he just stepped on it like normal, and just fell right on his back. And but yeah, we're out there, and the lake. Sometimes you hear that boom. Like what that is when the ice is shifting or cracking underneath, and it creates kind of a triangle, and the water runs up in that air pocket that it just created by cracking. That's the water going up in that little triangle. That's what that sound is. So not that sound, but we're hearing full blown like ice crack like from above as we're out there. And Lola was like, nope. Like, and she likes ice fishing, but she was not a fan of early ice fishing and hearing those cracking sounds. So yes, to your point, at 4 o'clock in the morning, that'd be a little disconcerting.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely could see it being kind of a cool little thing to do.
A little adventure.
For a night or something like that. But that middle of the night ice cracking or something crazy like that would I'd be up the rest of the night.
You'd be like, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, I'd be up the rest of the night. We're gonna stay up. I'll meet you on the bank. I'll just be chilling out there.
I'll be on the dock.
Yeah.
I'll be out on the frozen pier. But all right, man, that's it. Check us out for sure on our website. That's one thing we didn't talk about yet, tacklandtacos.com. The Black Friday sale is still just kind of going. It's not really Black Friday. We're just trying to get rid of all of our current merch because we're going to re-up and change everything in the spring. So shirts are half off, hats are half off, stickers are all like below cost, tacklandtacos.com. And you got anything else, Nate?
I don't. Yeah, that was a good one. Thanks.
Really
thanks,
fun.
Adam Deakin.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And Serious Anglers. We appreciate all you boys.
Yep.
That's it. Positivity's worth the effort. Peace.
Bye-bye.